Hello and welcome. I am the Patchlist and I'm going to take a quick look at a new game that has been released, I think today even, and this is Siege Survival Gloria Victis. So this game is quite an interesting game to say the least. Maybe you know the game This War of Mine, and the base mechanics of this game are kind of similar. So whatever that means, I will show you in a second, but first of all we are going to check out the options. The options are pretty bare. You can set up the resolution, the quality, enable, disable VSync, some audio sliders and the language, some keybinds that you can set up, which is enough for this kind of game, I'd say. There's not much else that you would need, to be honest. And I'd say it's completely fine. So, alright, we are going to jump into a new story. And we would have the chance to jump into the story mode, but I personally think it's interesting to jump into one of these modes for this kind of video at least, because the story mode is quite rough. Let's say it like that. We also do have some challenge modes and can customize our game. We have a New Game Plus situation going on. I have not finished the game in any capacity, so I cannot really say what the New Game Plus situation is here. But there are quite a few options to customize your gameplay experience, or well, mix it up a little bit. So this is definitely also a game that leads you to trying different runs, you know, trying different aspects or different approaches to the game. But we will for now jump into, I think, let's see, quick start, jump into the game on regular difficulty but with a faster setup and no introduction. Explorer, easier economic and scavenging aspects of the game for better focus on the story progress. I think we are going to jump into the quick start. That's a decent idea, and that's what we're going to do now. Alright, this was the intro video, and this showed us a little bit in what direction this game is going. So we are part of a castle. We are part of one faction that owns this castle, and this castle is being attacked by another faction. The other faction is now besieging the castle, which makes sense given the name of the game. And we have to defend the castle, basically. We have to support our troops so that the castle can be defended. Alright, so 6th day of summer, the year 1205, Kingdom of Midland. We were just starting harvest when the Izmir struck out of nowhere, catching us off guard. Horns of war sounded throughout Idring, and the smoke-filled city streets ran red with the blood of its citizens. The savage warriors from Kargald had invaded our home. The bastion must hold. And here we are inside of the game already. I am going to slow down the time and try to explain everything as much as possible. Sadly, I do not know if game time can be paused at all. Okay, first things first. So this is basically our home base. This is the inside of our castle. We cannot actively do any battles here or anything, but we do have a few options. We have two, how do you want to call it? Two people living inside here right now. We have some livestock that we can use and utilize to produce some food. We do have the main hall in which we can go to sleep and do some upgrades. Then we also do have a campfire over here that we can utilize, I think, to cook. Our pantry, which holds all of our food items and possibly all of our items at all. Then we do have a sawhorse, and we do have our storehouse. Our two characters, we can take a look at them. They do have some traits that give them bonuses into specific directions. This character's trait has a bigger capacity for his backpack, to which we will come at a later point. This character's trait is he's sufficient in trait and healing, but he has negatives in fighting and in drinking. So there are quite a few different characters that you can find throughout the game and add to your castle, and they can help each other in different aspects. So what we are going to do now is we are going over to the storehouse and click on to the build button. And this is pretty much a this part of the game is the manage your home part, if you will. Actually, the game pauses if you're in this screen, so this helps us a little bit if I want to explain something. So we do have a sawhorse. I do not need to build one right now, so we do not need to build anything. But as you can see, we can build quite a few things. We could build a fireplace, a workbench, a butcher's table, a repair workshop, an herbal workshop, a dryer, and a composter. And if we upgrade the storehouse to level 2, we could build other things like a rat trap, a field, and a forge, I think. And I do not know what this is right now. But to upgrade the storehouse, we would need some resources. We would need iron and some planks. How would we get those, is the question. So right now we do not have any resources right here other than the situation down here. This is the rummage pile. The rummage pile can be used over and over and over again to find a random resource. You click one of your characters, you send them over there, a progress bar appears, and whenever that progress bar fills, you get a random resource out of this rummage pile. The rummage pile doesn't run out, so you can go there all the time, repeatedly. The other aspect, however, is whenever night falls. Right now we're on day 1, and we're, as you can see at the top right here, we're midday, basically. The sun is still up and everything is going fine for now. But as soon as the sun goes down and hits this spot over here, we will go into the other aspect of the game. The other aspect of the game is that we can choose one character and go into the city. Every castle also has a city area, so basically up here. And we can try to scavenge over there. The problem is the invaders that are besieging our castle are possibly around the city and looking for survivors, looking for rebels or whatever, trying to make sure their siege is going as they have planned. So you have to be careful and not get caught, basically. So since we do not have any resources really, other than the starting resources that we have been given at the start, like a bundle of arrows, a fertilizer, a few valuables, makeshift bandage, herbal medicine, some fodder for the animals, and some rotten food. We are pretty limited right now, so we basically have to wait for the first night to come. I'm sending my guy over to the pigsty so I can actually feed them with the fodder. This also takes some time. As you can see, the progress bar down here is filling up quite nicely. Your characters also do have some needs. Like right now, my characters are relatively depressed, basically because, hey, their homeland has been attacked, and of course they are depressed. But this will change over time. Then you also have some markings here for their health, or if they're bleeding or not, basically their overall health, their thirst, their hunger, and their restedness. All of these are things that you have to keep in mind and take care of over the course of the game, of course. So I think rotten food is not the greatest idea for the chickens, but I will give them some greens and herbs. That would be enough to keep them fed for 1 or 2 days, I think. Alright, so what I can also do is I could skip time until dusk. This would then immediately start the other section of the game where I'm scouring through the city at night and trying to find resources. First of all, I do still have this Bastion button over here. In the Bastion button over here, you can see your resources. You can basically see your defensive state of your city and the attacking power, basically. The next battle is in 2 days, and whenever that happens, this is being resolved against each other. So you can improve your defenses. I could basically send them bundles of arrows now to increase their fighting capabilities and increase my numbers up here. This would help me in turn to fight off the next battle. This is the main point of the game, basically. You have to support your inside town and have to keep everyone alive, keep everyone working though. Produce food, drink, and weaponry, and like medicine, etc. And then send them to the front lines, basically. Send them to the outskirts, the walls, where your soldiers are defending the fortress, basically. And you have to support them. If you fail in doing so, the enemy will sooner or later break down your walls and you will lose the game. So I'm going to send those arrows to the front lines. This has to be done manually as well. So a character is going to the main gate here and hands them over pretty much. Now the first searching in the rummage is finished and we found fibers. So whatever you find there is not really that great, to be honest. I have never found anything good in there. But hey, I don't know, maybe you can be lucky and there's a special item. I'm pretty sure it's chance based, so you would only have to keep trying. This is the fireplace in which I can cook some meals. Meals obviously are important for my characters that live inside of the walls, but also for the frontline troops. I have to support them with food, and therefore I have to make sure that I find some raw materials, some raw food, have my animals produce some food maybe, and then make sure that the front lines are kept healthy and fed. So, as you can see, it's getting a little bit dark and the first day is ending right now. This means basically night is coming. This means we are jumping into the next step of the game, which we will do in just a second. The night has come. Alright, so this is how the night starts. Basically, we do have an overview on the top left. so we know both the date and size of the upcoming attack. This means we could potentially, if we do not know about the date and the size of the upcoming attack, we could scout the enemy lines with our characters. This is actually something that you have to do to make sure that your troops are prepared. Otherwise, you get very severe negatives when the battle comes and lose quite a good chunk of forces and everything. So make sure that you have scouted the enemy before the battle starts when it's necessary. Right now we do have the information basically because it's the first battle that would come soon, and we do not need to do that. We have an overview over the bastion issues. Sorry about that. Our soldiers don't have enough melee weapons, so this would mean we should supply them with melee weapons if we find any. If we find any in the city, they are most likely to be broken, and we would have to build a specific table for that to repair them, and then we could supply them. So we on the top right, it's the day that we are on still shown, and for now we choose one of our characters. So this is the capacity of the character's backpack, and this is quite important, of course, because you want to carry as much resources as possible out of the city into the safety of your home base. So I'm going to go with Flint, our character that has 9 spaces in his backpack, and in the meantime Hugon is going to sleep on the ground. If we would have built a bed, he could sleep in the bed. If we would have to scout the enemy lines, then we could send him to do that, but you can only send one of those characters scavenging, so we are going to take him, the one with the bigger backpack size, and we're sending him. Now we can choose where we actually want to go. Up here is our only available passage that we can go into right now. I think this is our main castle. This at least seems like it. And this is the city. The city has several different districts. If you hover over them, you can see what kind of resources you can find there. Average wood resources, textiles and greens, and water in this case, and few building materials, food and armaments. You can also see, designated by the eye symbols, how much enemy presence is there. This basically does not mean that there is no enemy presence at all, but how aware they are of your doings in that area. So if you get caught at some point, these states will go up, and the troops in the next night in this area will be stronger, there will be more of them, and you will have a harder time of scavenging. So we have to be very, very careful. For now, we are in the golden corner, it seems. We do have plenty building materials, textiles and greens and water. We have average wood resources and few food, medicine and armaments. We will have to find out how this actually looks, and I think I'm thinking of taking something with us, because these are our supplies and you can take items with you. So if you take a weapon with you, your character can actually use that weapon to fight against an enemy soldier that is running around. If you have a torch or a shovel, you can do specific things on the map that you otherwise couldn't, like open a new passage or burn a rotten corpse to open up a new passage without getting sick when you're traveling past it. Things like that. So for now, I will take nothing with me, so I can scavenge as much as possible, and we are going to start scavenging. Alright, we are inside. We can turn the camera to take a look around, and basically we're in this little back alley here, and we cannot really do anything other than try to find our way. This icon over here tells you that there's some rubble and you need a shovel to remove this obstacle. If you remove this obstacle, it's gone, also the next day, and you can then easily traverse through here, and this most likely opens up one of those other districts. As you could see earlier, there's the golden corner that we start in, but there are also the filthies next to us. And as you can see, if we scroll in, this is the blocked path, so this would open up the way over to this area, which is definitely interesting, because as soon as we have scavenged everything that is available in the golden corner, we would have to go to another of those districts, and this would come in quite handy because it's at our entry point to this map. So without further ado and without wasting too much time, we are searching some rubble now. Searching this rubble, we found some basswood, planks and some fibers, and of course we are going to take all of them. These buttons over here tell you that you can hide inside of bushes, so if an enemy patrol would come now, they wouldn't be able to see you. Enemy patrols are being shown by a vision cone, and the vision cone situation is it's green basically if they do not see anything. If you are inside of their vision cone, it starts to fill up yellow, and if that yellow bar reaches your character, then they see you and then they actively follow you, which you have to avoid at all costs, of course, except for if you want to fight them. But I haven't been at a point right now where fighting them inside of these scavenging hunts really made sense, so I'm not sure about that. As you could see right here, I was running a little bit and there were these waves coming from my character. So basically, if I'm walking slowly, you see these sound waves. These show the size of the sounds I make. If I start running, obviously those sounds will be louder. If I go scavenging, there are also sounds coming from this. So you have to be careful not to stand in the back of a soldier. Like if there would be a soldier right here looking into this direction, it would be fine to walk past him or walk behind him, but scavenging in his back could potentially alert him and he would turn around. You have to take all of these things in mind. We will scavenge as much as possible right now. The thing is, as you can see at the top right, this situation only goes on for this night. So pretty soon the sun is going to rise. And I want to make sure that I'm at my entry point before the sun rises. You have a limited time to scavenge. The problem comes in later turns of this scavenging, because you pretty much scavenged everything already that is very close to your entry point. So when entering, you have to run to the later parts of the map that you haven't been before, and you have to make sure that you find some resources there. So for now, I'm going to head back to the entry point. I take this scavenging point with me as well. Some iron ore or materials, basically. And as you can see, the top right is now blinking, telling me, hey, it's going to be day soon, head back to the castle. And this is what we're doing. Do you really want to return? Yes. So our first night was pretty successful. The night was calm. But the enemy assault can come any day and we must prepare for it. We should use this chance to help the soldiers at the bastion. Start a new day. Alright, so now we have found quite a few resources, and these resources have already been added to our supplies. And now we can utilize these. So we have 11 wood, we have 4 firewood and 3 planks, and now we can try and take a look at the building menu, which has opened up quite a bit because we do have the resources now. We could build a workbench, a butcher's table, a composter, or a fireplace. We do have a fireplace already, so we do not really need that. an herbal workshop. I think we could utilize a workbench though. So the building menu pretty much allows you to freely place the thing that you want to build wherever you want it. As much as I have understood it, the bluish area up here is safe from attacks. Basically, when the enemy attacks the castle, there will also be catapult attacks, like huge chunks of rocks that land somewhere in this area, but they do not land inside of this bluish area because the gatehouse is too big and it covers the side. At least this is how I understood it. I'm not sure if this is actually correct, but I'm thinking that this is the case. So let me see. Rotate the building with the mouse wheel, and I'm going to put this over here. The character is going over there now and starts to work on it. I don't necessarily see a reason right now to build inside of the shadow of the gate. But if you're playing the game on a harder difficulty or in a harder setting, basically, it probably is a good idea. Make sure that your buildings are not prone to being damaged from different attacks. I am able to cook some food right now, which is definitely something I am going to do. I can only cook one of these because I'm missing firewood, of course, so... But this is fine. I'm cooking 2 pieces of food. My main characters are not hungry yet, so I'm going to give the food to the front lines, possibly. I'll be waiting for the food to finish. And now I click on the Bastion tab and see the front lines do have 10 food and 17 water still. The maximum is 32. I want to make sure that these stats stay high, so I will give them some food. I will give them some water for now to make sure these are kept high. And I am going to check out what I can build over at the workbench. I could build a toolbox and I could craft a torch, but I do not really need those right now. I couldn't craft any arrows because I'm missing iron, so this is fine, but I can utilize the raw wood that we have and we can craft some firewood, which I'm going to do with this character. And then I'm sending the second character to the rummage and scavenge in there again. As you can see, the progress bar, whenever you start this down here at the rummage section, stays where it left off. And if you send another character in at the next day or whatever, then it keeps it starts back up there where it had been left off. I'm going to take this character and run over to my keep, because the keep button pretty much shows you how many beds you have. And if you click onto the keep button, it shows you an option to build new beds. And this tells me I would need some raw wood, which I used to craft planks and firewood with. Hey, and this is actually pretty great. I found a bundle of arrows in the rubble. A bundle of arrows is quite valuable. So I'm going to send this guy... actually, I'm not going to send this guy searching there, but I cannot let him sleep at day without a bed. So I'm going to first of all get some drink. So his thirst is definitely dealt with, and then I'm letting him go through the rummage. This guy also needs a drink. He would need to sleep, but I will let him go to sleep at the next night and then send the other character out to scavenge in the city. But other than that, right now we cannot really do much more. You can also upgrade these stations, but yeah, we would need more raw resources for all of these upgrades. So a second night of scavenging is mandatory. We'll craft some more food, because we definitely would have to eat at some point, and having that food around cannot hurt. I never quite found out if right now, while stuff is crafting, clicking the skip time until dusk button would actually finish the craftings. But I'm expecting as much. I'm going to skip time until dusk now, and the night has come. So now this main character is extremely exhausted, so he's going to sleep on the ground, of course. And now Hugon is going to scavenge inside of the city. And we do not have any other options again. Just as before, we can activate the other options as soon as we, I think, opened up ways to them, so we could start in another district. But for now, we can only go into this district right here. And therefore, we are going to start scavenging. And I'm going to try and go a little bit faster through this area. There's some scavenge over here. Did I miss that earlier? Quite interesting. There's actually a shovel, so I could open up this one passage down there. Things that you have searched through in a previous night are still searched. So this means if you go there in a following night, you're just going to be able to immediately loot whatever had been searched there at the previous night, and you do not have to search through them with the progress bar, etc. again, which is quite helpful. You could pretty much at one night run through and search everything, pick up as much as you can, but search everything even if your bags are full. Utilize every second of the night, and then at the next night just go and collect whatever is most valuable. For now, our inventory is already full again. I'm going to search a bit more though. This is water. We do not currently need water. You could also go do something like go over here, click your inventory, and then basically drop something onto the ground and then pick it up later. I could just gather all the resources, utilize the night, put everything in front of our entry point, run out again, get more, bring everything to the entry point, etc., etc., to utilize as much of the time that we have, of the very limited time. And I actually might do that now, because the night is still young, dark and full of terrors, as we all know. And I am going to drop this. Actually, let's drop everything for now. And then I will run back into the city to see how much I can gather here. There's a green exclamation mark over here, which is some kind of special event. So this is where the gate to the high city, the wealthiest district of the city, used to be, because the gate struck by a trebuchet projectile has collapsed into rubble. No doubt there would be good pickings on the other side, but is it possible to clear passage? Continue. Alas, the rubble is compressed and blocked by several collapsed ceiling beams. The way they are jammed, they could only be moved from the other side of the gate. It looks like the wonders of the famed high city will remain out of your reach for now. Basically gives you some kind of information about the situation here. There could be another way inside of the high city district, and from that side I could open the gate to allow me to traverse there from this side. Okay, let's find more. This is blocked over there. There's this back alley that I have been to. Let's take this. Let's take the... Actually, I think let's leave the rotten food over here and take the water and then go back, because it's becoming day pretty soon. Then we will make sure that we take the most important resources that we have in front of our entry point. I think wood is definitely something that we need right now. So what we can do right now is like put the items that we do not necessarily need right now inside of the rubble on the ground, and take the items that we can benefit from on the next day, and then just go back to the castle. You really want to return? Yes. So the enemy assault approaches. We must get ready for the worst. The enemies are preparing to attack, and we need to support our soldiers to help them stop the assault. Start a new day. Alright, if we're checking out the bastion, the enemy assault is a little bit weaker than our defenses. We do still have a bundle of arrows that we could provide to them, but some of the items won't be taken by the bastion crew. Oh yeah, there's a limit to things. The maximum limit of arrows is 2, so we do not actually need to get them over there. I think this will be fine for now. So let's see. What do we need to build a bed again? Because this is quite important. I could actually build 2 beds, so we are building 1 bed now. And this character is going to make sure we have some firewood. And as you could see in this screen, the next battle is today. So pretty soon something is going to happen. We are being attacked by the enemy in some way. And this coincides mostly by either attacks from a catapult or trebuchet, if you want it, or even by fire arrows that are being shot inside of the castle gates. So there it is, the battle continues, the enemy assault has started, they're firing projectiles at us. And you can see where those projectiles will land. So you definitely should make sure not to stand in these areas. Whenever there are buildings that you build inside of these areas, they will be damaged, of course. And you have to be very careful. Luckily, these main buildings, I think, are fine and safe. And whenever these rocks hit the open ground, you can actually scavenge inside of them. You find rocks, because what else would be in there? But these rocks can be sent to the bastion front gate to increase the wall defenses of your whole bastion. You have to repair stuff at some point, and this is where those rocks would come in handy. But only when those rocks land inside of your castle walls on the ground will you be able to scavenge them. So the battle has ended. Like I said earlier, you will see the enemy strength, you will see your defensive strength, and whenever the battle starts, these slowly grow up towards each other, and then the battle will be resolved in some point, in some way. And the battle right now has ended. We have lost some troops, they have lost some troops, and now we have some new issues. We have 13 soldiers ready to fight, the garrison morale is high, we do not have any wounded or sick or dead, which is great, absolutely. So we do not have any more arrows, and this would mean adding new arrows would increase our forces or our strength again, which is really a great thing. We do not have any melee weapons, we will come to that later. The fortification status, 7 stones and 7 bricks. no ballista parts. So those 2 stones that we just found, we can add them and increase our fortification status, which helps us again with the defensive value. And food, they still have 9, and I will keep it at that, but I will add some more fresh water because it fills up and is not going to waste. So we are sending this over to them. The battle has ended, but we are still getting barraged by projectiles. And there it is, the actual end screen of the battle. It was a tough battle. We provided our troops with enough supplies and they stopped the Izmir assault with minimal losses. Let's keep it that way. A short overview of what happened, of what kind of resources have been used, the course of the battle, etc. Alright. So, this character is going to keep on rummaging. Whip. Nope, nope, nope. Accidentally misclicked right there. And I'm going to send this character to sleep. This one already found something in the rubble, which is quite great. So yeah, as you can see, the game is in certain mechanics quite similar to the game This War of Mine, where you have 2 different settings, or basically 2 different situations. You have your home base situation, in which you have to utilize your villagers or your people that live there to craft stations, craft food, do specific things. And then you have your night screen, in which you go through a city or through a specific area and try to scavenge and try to hide from enemies and support the overall goal of defending your city. This game, in my opinion, is very interesting and I like it really much. I like it very much, is the word I was looking for. Because these kind of strategy games offer so much depth, you know? Like, there are a lot of strategy games that are really bare bone on a specific level and you play them once and that's about it. They often do not warrant the price tag. This one, however, you can play in different ways actually, and you can customize your gameplay experience. You can make it extremely hard. You can also make it extremely easy if you just want to build up your base, etc. And I think I like all of those options to be given, but I also love that the game is not holding your hands really that much, you know? You're struggling to get resources. Oftentimes you're struggling to feed your soldiers and feed your people inside, living inside of the castle. You have to react to certain situations, and I've had games where my characters were just bludgeoned to death at the night screen and I, basically lost all but one person and I had to rebuild from there or restart the game. But restarting the game could completely lead into a different situation because the games are, as much as I have experienced, not always the same. They are randomized to some degree and this is always a great thing. So if you like this game, it's about 25 bucks on Steam right now. I think it released today on the 10th of June. And yeah, let me know what you think about this game. Let me know what you think about this review. I personally like this game. Thank you very much for tuning in. I will end this right here. And I will see you next time. Goodbye.